How's it going, guys? So today I'm going to show you how to install cruise control on a base NC Miata. That's the years from like 2006 to 2008 if I'm not mistaken, and this is going to be with an aftermarket steering wheel, so not with your base steering wheel. Of course, this is going to be aftermarket only. And what I had to do is get this custom-made panel from, I believe his name is Alex Engineering. I'll put the name on the screen right now, but basically this will go where the airbag is, and this replaces the horn. And then this is one piece of the cruise control, but another piece would be the switch, the brake light switch. You have to replace this, and I'll put that on the screen right now too. And basically this has 4 pins that will, right here, it'll show you that this has 4 pins. The one I'm about to remove is going to have 2 pins, and the 2-pin one won't work because you need this one to disengage the cruise control. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is remove the steering wheel. I got a 3mm hex here, and that's going to remove all these screws. All right, so before you remove the last screw, be sure to disengage the horn wire so that you can therefore remove the steering wheel. Let me just remove this last screw. And off comes the wheel. All right, so now I'm going to remove the cover on the hub. So now we have access to our wires. Okay, so now with the cover off, we have access to our wires. This is from my aftermarket steering wheel installation video. These are basically dummy circuits that tell the car that the airbag is still connected. But what we want to do is remove just this horn wire that came with the kit that this came with. You just pull that out. So this goes bye-bye, and now we get to install a cruise control panel. So you'll see that has various holes that you get to install depending on what hub you have. And as far as the wires, this is the horn wire, so you just feed this to the one that I just removed, and this plugs right back into the spot that I just disconnected. There you go. So also, I almost forgot to mention, I just disconnected the panel. This also has to go through where the horn wire went. So that little slot that you have in your hub, this has to follow. Just like that. Otherwise, your dust cover won't fit. All right, so now with the wires all buttoned up, you can go ahead and install your dust cover back onto the hub, like so. Nice and flush. And then you can reinstall the panel into that plug. Yeah, sorry about the graduation music in the back. We have a graduation going on. Okay, so I noticed that this particular hub has a ring for the wheel. So when you take it off, it doesn't just fall, but that ring gets in the way of the wiring loom because it's gonna be flush right here. It's gonna go through this. So I had to get a file and file this section out so that the loom can therefore seat without getting pinched. So as far as the wire goes, you just route it through here and shove as much as you can in there, hence why I have that slit right there. And then you can just install the wheel. All right, so I got the wheel somewhat put on. So just real quick, I noticed that the bolts that I've had before are now too short because of the cruise control plate, of the thickness of that plate spaces it out more. So what you got to do now is I'm going to go down to Ace Hardware and get myself some longer bolts. So I took off the wheel and I diagnosed the hub, and it turns out that the hub that I have is about as thick as the threads themselves. So I gotta measure the thickness of the wheel, the thickness of the plate, and just add on more threads accordingly. Your hub could be different, but I just thought I should put that in the video. And also, I noticed that that ring that I filed down, it was removable. So I just yanked on it a little bit, and there's a slit that I had in it before. I just yanked it out, and I'm glad it was removable, because for the brake button to go back in, it wouldn't fit with that ring in the way because the wiring loom was making contact with the back of the button. So with that out of the way, now I can just plug the horn back on, shove it in, and then this will just bend out of the way and the horn button fits back on. So problem solved. All right, and as for the switch, it's pretty easy. all you gotta do is just find it. It should be right here. And to remove it, you just gotta turn it slightly to the right clockwise, and it'll pop out. And then you should be able to remove it right from here. You don't need to remove all this, just this piece right here. All right, guys, so this is just going to be information that I forgot to mention earlier in the video. So if your vehicle already has cruise control, you're pretty much going to have to just purchase the kit. I'll put that in the link in the description. But if your vehicle does not have cruise control, here are things to look out for. First, you need the 4-pin harness. And like I said, this switch, the one that I installed in the car, has 4 pins. So if you go under the car and you remove this switch, which has 2, make sure it has 4 pins. I believe the NC Miatas that are in Europe, they'll only have a 2-pin harness, and they are the 1.8 liter NC Miata engines. Their ECUs, I believe, are the L831 ECUs, if I'm not mistaken. So there are ways to modify that engine, or rather the harness, via Alex's website, and I'll put that link in the description. But if you have a Miata here in the States, particularly that you're going to have a 4-pin harness, and therefore if you have a base NC Miata or one that does not have cruise control, all you need to do is buy this switch. It has the 4 pins, and I'll put that part number in the description as well. I know I said I'd do it in the video, but whatever. And yeah, it's just the switch, the kit, and you can still do this without the aftermarket steering wheel. You'll just need to get the steering wheel that has the switches on them for the set, reset, and cruise button. Other than that, it's just, yeah, cruise control with the kit. Make sure you get the switch if you don't have it. And for the harness thing, just make sure you modify it if you really want cruise control with that 2-pin harness. Oh, and lastly, switch reset. I forgot to mention the most important thing in the video is that when you go to install this switch, make sure that when you get it, you can push it in, just don't set that white thing in there, because once you plug it in, that white thing will come down to here, and therefore it'll be set. That's where it'll like to be engaged. So whatever you do, do not plug it in first and then mount it. That'll be incorrect. You'll be driving around with the cruise light coming on if you're here in the States. If you're in Europe, there will be no light. But if you're have the 4-pin harness and it plugs in, and you plug it in first and then mount it, all that's going to happen is the light's going to come on and it's never going to set. So if you've already done that, or if it's already switches down to here, no worries. You don't have to go buy a new switch. All you have to do is press this all the way down. I used a small screwdriver, but what I did, you can see there's a little space in there to get a needle or screwdriver in, and you'll hold this in, and you'll drag it down, and you'll push that section down just a little bit. You don't need much force. Just keep pushing it down until it clicks. Once it clicks, that will stay in that position, and this will move freely, like so. So if it's already set, this will be a lot more firm. It'll still have a spring feel to it, but it'll actually be a little bit more engaged because that's where it's set to be. So that's how you reset the switch. Other than that, that's about it.